Just an overview. I would just want to show you some of the content we have and some of the tools I use, and just do a brief overview of the course, PropStream that we use. I use county records quite a bit, and Versium is a tool that helps us build some of these lists. So, okay, so this is an overview of the course. There's about 140 lessons in there. It took me about 5 months to build. And when I did it, I broke it into 6 weeks, and people go through as fast as they want or as slow as they want. And week one are the tools I use and the websites I use. So when we click on week one, there's overviews of PropStream, interviews. Someone had mentioned Pebble. There's an interview with Jesse and Pebble there, how I go through my county records. But this is where I like to start. Michael with Land Flipping for Beginners. Today I'm in front of East Mallory Street in Pensacola, Florida. The seller was motivated to sell the property. He was a little bit older and he had a portfolio. So we entered into an agreement to purchase a property for $51,750, and we assigned our contract to a local realtor for $65,000. And we did all this without using any of our own money, and our profit was $13,250. Assignments are a great technique, and it's a technique that we teach in our class. Thank you. So assignments, again, are a great technique. You don't have to use your own money. And in that case, we just assigned it to a local realtor. The person just happened to have a real estate license. He was the one that bought our property. But this is kind of why we're here. Again, that was an assignment. And week two is basically, how do you pick a market area? And we use some statistics to do that. It's even when you use the word statistics, how about we use some simple math to do that? How do you pick a market area? And then after you pick it, and if it makes sense, well, how do you build this list? So we go through in detail what tools I use, how to build the list. And week three, we go ahead and continue to build the list. But now that we built it, we're going to contact the people. Do we want to use direct mail, text messaging, cold calling right there? And week four is due diligence. So basically, due diligence means I'm going to do my homework on the property, meaning, do I have street access? Can I get to it? Does it have a flood zone or wetlands that makes it difficult to build? And most people do due diligence on the property, and I try to take that a step further. I do due diligence on the seller, and I'm not aware of too many people do that. So I'm talking to the seller, but I want to understand their situation deeply. So I basically run a background on them. I look for bankruptcies, liens, judgments. I run a criminal background on them. I look at their business licenses, business affiliations, again, see if they have any liens or delinquent taxes. And so I could have two identical properties, and I may offer one guy $10,000, and the guy has the identical one next door. I may offer him $6,000. So besides doing the due diligence on the property, I do it on the people as well. And then week five is my background's appraisal. So a lot of people, how do I value this property? So it's not a private course, but I do a lot of private Zoom sessions. I did 2 or 3 today. So I do my best to make myself available. But here's week 5 on appraising. And earlier, there's another flip example. But earlier, we talked about the 3-offer strategy. And here is a sample of that. So 3-offer strategy, make more money, do more deals, make the seller negotiate. So the example I spoke of, we think we can sell the property for $60,000 or $20,000. I want to make at least $6,500. Well, the most I can offer is $13,500. So I give them 3 offers. Number 3, $13,500 with seller financing for 2 years, no money out of my pocket. I'll make a little less. $11,500 will close in 90 days. That way I can do an assignment or double close, or the one that's a little more painful, I can bring in a money partner, where I can write a check for $9,500 and close in 14 days. typically they migrate to the lowest one. These options many times will have the seller negotiating against themselves. So that three offer technique works out very well. And week 6, I put a lot of emphasis on selling. It seems like everyone wants to get a property. We want to get a property. Well, we've got to sell it. And that's when we really get paid. So I put a lot of emphasis on selling. And I'll go ahead. I use Facebook Marketplace a lot. So when someone picks a market area, I suggest they join all the Facebook groups in that area. So when we get a property, we put it in approximately 20 real estate related Facebook Marketplace groups. I have about 700 people that have responded to my Facebook ads in Pensacola. So when we get a property, I can put it out to those 700 people. Builders, I've sold 11 lots to Habitat for Humanity. I had lunch with David last week. Local investors, I can show you how to find those, and individuals as well. But this is, neighbors, sometimes we'll mail to the 25 closest neighbors right there. And that's a brief overview of the 6 weeks. And then in the library, all the links that we use throughout the course, the letters and postcards, the agreements, the agreement for the 3 offer strategy, due diligence checklist. And we do 2 group Zoom sessions a week, typically on Wednesdays. They do vary some, but on the first and third Wednesdays, I typically have guest speakers. Here we had Jay Moore, who's one of our teammates, and he's great at technology. He did things in ChatGPT that were amazing, and we recorded that session. We'll have on, this is a gentleman that has a cold calling company. If you want someone to cold call for you, realtors. Here's Al Nicoletti, that's a very well-regarded probate attorney in Florida. He spoke. Tomorrow on our Wednesday Zoom session, I'm going to have a gentleman, Jim Ingersoll, who had a Facebook group with over 400,000 people in it. And he coaches people as well. And he's going to talk about wraparound mortgages, which I'm going to learn from him tomorrow, but that will be recorded in the library too. So we've had people from mail houses on here. So there's a lot of recordings there. And the ones that we don't put in the library, they're on a private YouTube channel. So if we do what's called Deal Lab. And so tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central, teammates can bring their deals and we'll analyze them. We'll look at comps. We'll do due diligence. We'll kind of determine how much we think we should pay for it, or they should pay for it. So we have Deal Lab and the Zoom sessions as well.